you are. It's late afternoon here. It's 4 o'clock, and I'm glad that we all managed to be here. So we want to welcome you to this food crisis webinar organized by the World March of Women, and we are really, really excited that we are all here. Now, sisters, even as we proceed, as you come in, I would request us to just go on the chat, write your name and where you're calling in from so that we can know who's in the room. And because we might not have time to get to know who is here and even as sisters joining. So if you're able to join in and sign in your name and where you're calling us in from, then I think would be nice. Great. So we want to welcome you in this webinar. It's a food crisis webinar. And the reason we are doing this is because, yeah, there's some background noise. Marie, if you can help us with that, we'll appreciate. Yeah, so as we proceed, we know that we are at a crisis at the world level, and food is increasingly becoming an issue. It's a crisis, and that's why we are here today to talk about this. And it's not only from your region, because we know we have all the regions here today. It's not only from Africa. I'm from Africa, and people sometimes think that food is only a crisis in Africa. No, that's why today we have people from Europe, from Americas, from Asia, and we're going to hear from all these sisters. So today we are going to be very, very happy to listen to sisters from Tunisia. I don't know if Suad is already here. We're going to hear from Suad, who's going to tell us about what's happening in the northern part of Africa, in Tunisia. We're also going to have Marika, who's going to share with us a lot here, and also, and she's from Georgia, that is in Europe. And we are also going to listen to Shelu from India. And then sisters, we're going to have an open space where we can also share, but I really would request us to listen keenly to what the sisters have to share. And we're also going to have a chance at some point where we can watch a food crisis video, the video that was put together by the young women within the World March of Women. So we really want to appreciate you and welcome each one of you. And thank you so much for recording, because we can see all the people who are joining in, and that makes us know who is here. And so we want to talk about, so sisters, again, I also want to apologize because my internet is not very good. It's going to start fluctuating. And as a moderator, it will be really sad if it fluctuates and you're not able to hear me. So if you allow me, I will moderate this session with my video, my camera off. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit messy, but at some point I'll try and put it on as I see the network moving. So if that's okay with you, sisters, allow me to switch off my video. But if you have a good network and you can speak with your video on, then I really would appreciate if we can do that. I'm only doing this with all this respect because I want you to hear me more than to see my face. So you're welcome, all of you welcome, and we can talk about this. Thank you. So we're going to ask this first question that we're going to ask our sisters, Suad, Marika, and Shelu. If you can have a quick one to just tell us about the attacks on
Sophie, I'm so sorry, Sophie.
Am I audible enough?
Oui, très bien.
Sí, escuchamos.
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Okay, and if I'm fast, also remind me, because sometimes I get carried away and I can speak very fast. So today I'll try to be slow. And it's the same thing that I would request all our speakers, because for the sake of the interpreters. So Mary, let me know if I can continue. All right, thank you. I see a thumbs up. So that means that we can go on. So I'm going to invite our first speaker, who's Swad. And Swad is going to have the opportunity to tell us something about the attacks on seeds and the forms that the seeds are taking. Because right now we know that food sovereignty is a right. And we cannot get that right if we don't really take care of the seeds. So like when we start talking about seeds, especially where we are all coming from, then it means that, seeds are the first link to the food chain. You can't have food, proper food without seeds, without proper seeds. And seeds are also the repository of life's future evolution. We need a revolution, then we must have seeds. We have food revolution. We cannot have food revolution without seeds. And then we have a moral duty as feminists, as activists, as individuals, as women, as farmers, as grassroots women, to protect seeds at all costs, to be able to pass them on to the future generations. So the basis to maintaining biodiversity and our food security has been through the free exchange of seeds among farmers. This is something that we know that the ancestral knowledge has helped us a lot in growing and saving the seeds from the past. But today, the threat is real. It is so real, it is here with us. And the threat is greater around the world. It's not only from the regions that we come from, I repeat again, because we are witnessing.
Sophie, I am so sorry.
Okay.
Sophie, I am so sorry. I interrupt you. Maybe according our schedule. Can you hear me, Sophie?
Yes, I can hear you. Mary, I lost you.
Sophie, I'm so sorry that I interrupt you, but according to our schedule of webinar, maybe we can show the food sovereignty video, and after the speaker will participate. All right?
Okay, all right, okay, yeah. All right. Sorry, I sent that message.
No
yeah,
problem.
so
Nati can support us and show us
okay.
the sovereignty video. Thank you.
All right, I think that's okay then. Thank you very much, Nati. Thank you, Marie. And then we can watch the video and then we can invite the speakers to share with us then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before giving it to the Nati, could you, I kindly ask you to...
Hola, compañeras, compañeros, ¿me escuchan? Bien?
Hi, sisters. Can you hear me well? I'm Natalia. I'm talking to you from Brazil. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. To provide motivation for our discussion today, we wanted to show a very special video which we produced together with the Capire Portal. It was a joint effort between the March and Capire. It's also an attempt to show all of our struggle for food sovereignty for the benefit of all our territories and our rights. And I'd also like to express a great deal of thanks because this was a real collaborative effort. It took many hands from all of us activists from all over the world. So it's also a video that's aimed at giving us inspiration. And it also serves as a mystica to also show the history of our struggle. And I'd also like to thank all of our sisters who sent in their testimonials and all of their anecdotes and stories. So without further ado, I will show the video. Thank you, sisters.
Before showing the video, could you please, every participant can mute your voice because we are hearing background voices and because of the interpretation, we cannot hear you well. Thank you.
Comer es un acto político.
Eating is political.
Pero ¿de dónde vienen nuestros alimentos?
But where does our food come from?
¿Quién los produce?
Who produces them?
¿Cómo
Who
llegan a
produces
nuestros
it?
hogares?
How does it end up in our homes?
¿Quién los transforma en la comida que comemos cada día?
Who turns it into our meals that we eat every day?
La soberanía alimentaria nos invita a hacernos estas preguntas y a
Food
pensar
sovereignty draws our attention to all these issues and provokes reflection on how domestic and care work is organized. Conceptualized by the peasant movements, food sovereignty has become central to the political feminist actions and struggles of the World March of Women. The Nayeleni Forum for Food Sovereignty was a landmark in this trajectory. I had the opportunity to represent the World March of Women on the International Steering Committee that was formed to organize Nayeleni 2007, which was the first World Forum on Food Sovereignty. Delegates from the 5 continents met up in Selinge in Mali to protest together, united in solidarity. And according to the consensual definition, food sovereignty is the right of peoples to healthy and culturally appropriate food produced
I'm
through
so sorry,
ecologically sound and sustainable methods, and their right to define their own food and agricultural systems.
respecting cultures, respecting crops, and producing.
We are hearing both English interpretation in the same channel. Could you please check in our interpreters? Could you please check this issue? I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Je dirais en français facile que la souveraineté alimentaire, c'est juste consommer ce que nous produisons et produire ce que nous consommons.
Junto con movimientos sociales aliados como la Vía Campesina y Amigos de la Tierra Internacional,
There is no English
debatimos el
translation.
aporte de las mujeres a la producción, circulación y preparación de alimentos, incluida la producción para el autoconsumo. En una sociedad capitalista, racista y patriarcal, este trabajo es ocultado e invisibilizado en su dimensión económica y es considerado una tarea natural de madres, esposas, abuelas y hermanas. Nos fijamos en los conocimientos y experimentos que
The video because we cannot hear English interpretation right now. Maybe after solving the problem, we can start at the beginning.
Okay, Marie, thank you.
Hi, dear interpreters. If you can hear me, we cannot hear any English translation. But we cannot hear Eleanor Harding as well.
I'm here.
Yes, we can.
I'm ready
hear
to
you
go.
now.
Sorry, I
No
wasn't sure if
problem
you
at
were
all.
waiting for me or not, but okay, I'm ready. I'm here.
Okay.
comer es un acto político.
Eating is political.
Pero ¿de dónde vienen nuestros alimentos?
But where does our food come from?
¿Quién los produce?
Who produces it?
¿Cómo llegan a nuestros hogares?
How does it end up in our homes?
¿Quién los transforma en la comida que comemos cada día?
Who turns it into our everyday meals?
La soberanía alimentaria nos invita a hacernos
Food sovereignty draws our attention to all these issues and provokes reflection on how domestic and care work is organized. Conceptualized by the peasant movements, food sovereignty has become central to the political feminist actions and struggles of the World March of Women. The Nayeleni Forum for Food Sovereignty was a landmark in this trajectory. I had the opportunity to represent the World March of Women on the International Steering Committee that was formed to organize Nayeleni 2007, which was the first World Forum on Food Sovereignty. Delegates from the 5 continents met in Selingue in Mali to protest together, united in solidarity. And according to the consensual definition, food sovereignty is the right of peoples to healthy and culturally appropriate food produced through ecologically sound and sustainable methods, and their right to define their own food and agriculture systems. I could say, in short, that food sovereignty means consuming only what we produce and producing what we consume. Together with our allied social movements, such as La Via Campesina and Friends of the Earth International, we discuss women's contribution to food production, circulation, and preparation, including production for personal consumption. In a capitalist and patriarchal society, the economic dimension of this work is concealed and kept invisible. It is considered the work of mothers, wives, grandmothers, and sisters. We value the knowledge and experiences of women farmers who ensure species diversity, resulting in the production of healthy food without chemicals or toxins. This is the case of ancestral agroecology practices, such as the selection, exchange, and keeping of seeds, and the diversified growing of plants with multiple functions, such as for food, medicine, or the removal of insects. But food sovereignty is threatened by transnational corporations who extend their control over territories and aim to transform all areas of our lives into merchandise, beginning with genetically modified seeds. Let's start with the principle that those who own the seeds own life. Industrialized countries' regulations in relation to the countries of the South by means of trade investment agreements favor transnational corporations. This transformation of systems that were traditionally managed by peasants into systems dominated by the private sector will affect the subsistence of millions of people. It's the same transnational corporations that control genetically modified seeds grown with pesticides that produce the treatments against cancer or infertility that are caused by the very chemicals they manufacture. Transnational companies also destroy nature with their monoculture plantations and contribute to climate change with their unsustainable energy consumption, as well as participating in the arms industry. We also denounce the patriarchal relations that prevent food sovereignty.
Members of the family, either as sons or as brothers, and so this means that women are cut off from land, and land is a foundation, is a basic commodity where food can be grown.
Las mujeres sostenemos la vida al producir.
We women sustain life by producing and preparing food. We want this task and others that are just as important for the care of life to be shared with men and with society as a whole. This is why we demand public services such as collective kitchens and restaurants, public laundries, nurseries and elderly care centres, in addition to the right to public and free health care for everyone. Through international alliance actions and processes, such as the World Social Forums and the People's Summits for Climate Justice, We have organized our worldview as a movement and strengthened our demands for food sovereignty and the defense of common goods and of territories impacted by colonialism and racist and patriarchal capitalism. Here in the Apodi territory, Rio Grande do Norte, Brazil, we as militants of the World March of Women are fighting a battle against agribusiness and in favor of food sovereignty. We have managed to prevent an irrigation project from taking place that would ruin the entire experience of peasants and of a territory we call a peasant territory. We have also helped to strengthen women's and peasants' appropriation of their territory, as well as the need to keep waging a collective struggle to strengthen the matter of food sovereignty and agroecology. We women are part of a permanent collective struggle against hunger and poverty, and with a view to reorganizing the economy to put life at the center. We condemn the role of transnational corporations in increasing the price of food, the food that they distribute and trade by way of hypermarkets all over the world. In 2020 and 2021, during the COVID-19 pandemic, solidarity networks were created in many different places in order to collectively guarantee food for those people living in poverty or those who had suddenly lost their livelihoods. We distributed thousands of tons of healthily produced food, produced using agroecology and with respect for nature's times and rhythms. Food sovereignty must happen on all levels. On the international level, we fight the World Trade Organization and transnational corporations. On the national level, we demand public policies to ensure the right to food according to food habits and cultures, and also for food sovereignty in the territories. Peasant and traditional peoples in the territories struggle a great deal to keep their right to food. What we saw during the pandemic was an increased perception, an increased awareness among urban workers. We saw a tightening of bonds and alliances between rural and urban women so that good agroecological food could get to everyone's tables and plates. What did they show? They showed that we can overcome the capitalist and patriarchal order that treats the issue of food as if it were a private issue to be solved by women inside their homes and within their families.
Ecology, food sovereignty contributes to affirm popular sovereignty and to reorganize our societies on the basis of solidarity and on the basis of people's interests. At the same time, food sovereignty enriched by feminism and agroecology strengthens the struggle of rural social movements and the struggle for environmental and climate justice and the struggle of women.
Within the World March of Women space, food sovereignty is a discussion that we cannot afford to miss in our spaces, in our midst, especially here in Africa. Once we know that the local farmer, the local women understand it and we practice what we learn, then it helps us a lot as feminists, as human rights defenders, as frontline communities working towards true change. Let's continue practicing what we are learning and what we need. So agroecology is the future, feminist is the future.
Capire, è la mossa mammelam. Capire mossa mamam, capire, è la mossa mammelam. Capire mossa mamam, capire, è la mossa mammelam. Capire mossa mamam, capire, è la mossa mammelam.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
So,
Yes.
Sophie, perdón. Solo
Sophie, sorry. I just wanted to share two final things. And one is that we are going to start circulating this video. It's been produced in the 3 languages of the march, in English, French, and Spanish. Capire has also produced a version in Portuguese, which is going to start being circulated now. And I'd also like to express a great deal of thanks to our sister, who I think is here, but I can't see her, and that's Alessia Regatti from Brazil. There you are. Hi, Alessia. I'd like to say hi to her from us, and I'd just like to point out how hard she works, and she's worked so hard on weaving this video together, to forming it into a blanket. So it was a great deal of work she did, and I just wanted to say thank you so much to her.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nati and Bianca and the entire technical team for really putting this together. And I'm sure this has now opened our minds and our hearts, and is now provoking us enough to discuss and to see where we have come from. I like that we say that we are women in a collective struggle for food sovereignty. So thank you so much, sisters. Let's show them a thumbs up. Let's show them the love. And this is all amazing. We learn from what we see. We learn from what we share. So now, without further ado, also allow me to now bring in our speakers who are going to talk about the attack on seeds. As we have seen in the video, seeds are the centerpiece of our food sovereignty. Without seeds, we are doomed. Without seeds, especially in this world where we are threatened, then it becomes very, very difficult. In the past, it was not as hard because we shared a lot and farmers shared seeds. So now I would like to invite Suad from Tunisia to come in and share with us on what she understands by the word, the attacks on seeds, and where we are at the moment, and where this form, we have seen how it has changed. What has changed? Why are we changing? Why are we where we are today in terms of seeds? So we're going to invite Suad to kindly speak to us, Suad.
Unfortunately, Suad is not here with us today because of the internet connection problem in Tunisia, but she sent us a recording of her speech, and in case of there will be a internet connection problem, I can share it with you right now, if you allow me.
Sorry, Mary, maybe it would be nice to hear from the sisters who are here. We could maybe invite Marika or Shelu, and then you can share Suad's written document. So I don't know if Marika is here from Georgia. So if Marika is here, maybe it would also be nice, because sometimes we think that in Europe, there's no problem, there's no food problem, especially when we are from this side. So it would be very nice for the sisters in Asia and Africa and Latin America to hear the struggles, because we are sisters in this collective struggle. So we can invite Marika.
Yes, I am here.
Thank you. So welcome, Marika. You're going to share with us the attacks on seeds and the form that they are taking. We have seen even from the video how the shape, how all this has changed and how it has shaped. And then also maybe if you can do that and also share with us what we can explain, the explanation we can give, or what we can share on the ongoing food crisis from a feminist and agroecological perspective, because we are feminists and agroecology is almost our solution, is our solution. So thank you very much, Shelu.
Hello, everyone. Mariam, I was not able to share my screen. Can you allow?
Nati, could you please make Marika co-host because I cannot do that.
Or yeah.
Creo que
Okay,
Mari
thank
Marika,
you.
if you want, I can share the ecran also your presentation. Or
Okay. No, I can do it now. Thank you. Do you see my screen now? Is it okay?
Yes, it is.
we.
Okay.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I am Marika Kapanadze from Georgia. I am representing Biological Farming Association Elkana, which is a farmers organization and unites organic farmers. So I will speak a little bit about the experience my organization has regarding women and agroecology, and also on seeds, seed bank, and what are the problems related with women and agroecology issues in Georgia. So agricultural biodiversity is deteriorating due to the industrial monoculture production. This was also mentioned in the video, and this is not a problem just in our cases. This is a problem that everybody in the world faces. So we have to speak loudly about this problem and try to solve this problem with the help of inclusion of women. Peasants' access to local and organic seeds is limited and in some cases legally restricted. What I mean under this, the state tries to make legalization of the seed and certification issues for the big companies, not for the small family farms and farmers who produce organic and with agroecological methods. So these are the problems regarding with peasants, and gender stereotypes limits women freedom to exercise the economic rights. What I mean under this, legally everything is right in the laws, but what is the stereotypes in the societies? This is a problem. So we face this problem despite we are near the Europe. Does not matter we are in Asia or somewhere. This is a real problem. Organic and peasants production suffers from high production costs and low prices. This is a problem everywhere also, because in group certification, this is okay because everybody shares the cost. But in case of just one peasant, one producer, the costs are really high in our case, and only one certification body works in Georgia. That's also problem. And also this year began support from the government that includes that farmers, a group of farmers can get allocation of some portion of money from the government. And also low prices on the production, on the products what farmers produce, because everybody cannot buy what they offer to others. I mean organic production, and I mean production with agroecological methods. Also, I can say that there is a public awareness on the importance and support for women and women's economic right, peasants' right to seed, agricultural biodiversity, conservation, and heritage products. And women exercise their rights to seeds without restriction, and agricultural biodiversity is maintained. This is a And also, what is the approach regarding the seed production in case of Elkanah? Heritage legume and wheat seed distribution among Elkanah's member farmers and the creation of the seed bank. Elkanah, I already mentioned that is a farmer organization. It has demonstration plots in 2 parts of Georgia, and one is dedicated to the seed bank. What I mean, that Elkanah supports production of old and old seeds in their demonstration plots and tries to distribute seeds within the farmers absolutely free of charge. And the farmers are responsible for caring for these seeds so they can later distribute their production, their produced seeds with other farmers. And also we try to train them to give consultations and to give traditional knowledge what we do have, and try to help them to develop their businesses and helping to develop agrotourism in the regions. Especially in this case, the women are key persons in our demonstration plots, and in case of seed bank, women are the leaders, and they try to be our voices in the society. They distribute their knowledge, what they have and what they get from us, and they try to help other women to get seeds and to get the knowledge. Also, what we are doing regarding these seed issues, we are organizing seed bread festivals, testing events, and support to local women groups. Annually, we have bread festivals in the region, and we are supporting farmer women who are in the region to take part in these events, and to give possibility to public to test their what they produce, and this is somehow a help from our side towards them. Also, marketing issue is very crucial, because marketing support for heritage legumes and wheat producers are not is not supported from the government. So we try to help them in marketing issues, like we have created a web page, EcoMart, which is dedicated to farmer women who produce different kind of products like seeds, wheat, tea, wine, and they can sell through this web page. Also, heritage legumes, grains like chickpeas, lentils, wheat species like old ones, I mean, Tsiteli, Doli, Dika, Maha, Zanduri, are reintroduced to the society. Through these bread festivals, we are trying to bake breads from these old varieties, and people are really thankful, because the smell, taste are absolutely different from the industrial breads what big companies are producing. And it should be noted that women are pioneers in this direction, especially after the COVID crisis. Women took responsibility to produce more and more wheat species. And on the picture, I don't know if you see, there is a picture of the women who took the seed, and she spread in her region, in upper mountain of Georgia. And these farmer women, we are against the Russian grains. I have to note here that Georgia is dependent on the wheat import from Russia and Ukraine mostly, but This possibility of reintroduction of the local wheat species gave a possibility to spread and to reintroduce the old varieties, what was produced in Georgia. Women are keen to produce legumes, vegetables, seeds, but increasingly also start to lead heritage with restoration, and they are guardians to forgotten crops, tastes, and stewardship of local food security. And also it should be noted that women councils are created in the regions and they are really actively working on the problems what women have, especially regarding the food production and food security issues. As I mentioned before, market access for women are problem. Because of the stereotypes spread in the society, they have the rights, but they cannot exercise the economic right. In most regions, they cannot decide what they can produce, where they produce, how they sell, if they produce anything, because heritage inheritance issue is not solved properly. Law guarantees the rights, but they cannot exercise them. Organic peasants production suffers from high production and costs and low prices. Difficulties in marketing, especially when we are speaking about handmade agricultural products like dairy products, traditional products, because food safety does not include any regulation regarding these handmade products, and they did not make any exclusion from the general law. Also, problem is limited connection and common areas with people living in the city. Low level of technology use, like mostly all of them does not have any information regarding the new technologies, also including zero waste production and eco-friendly production. And as I mentioned, high prices for the certification. What Elkanah did to solve this problem? Annually, we are doing seed exchange, but it was informal way. Mostly women are the pioneers who take part in this action. This year we made an official day, seed exchange day, and women we are mostly participating in this event. They had an organically produced seeds and they distributed among themselves. Also, we are working on seed certification issues with the state body, state institutions, because if you are working on seed production, you have to register in the scientific research center. You have to pay for this and annually, and but in case of small farmers, the payment is a problem, and also payment is a problem, and seed production and distribution is a problem. So we tried to convince them to make exclusion for the small farmers, or to have a moratorium for a year or two, to solve this problem and to help small producers. Also, to solve the problems regarding food crisis, we are thinking to help agroecology development in the region, and also in these cases, women, we are the pioneers who took responsibility to help us and to support agrobiodiversity in the regions. And also one of the issue is to help creation of the network of women and or not only farmers, producers and organizations to exchange the knowledge, and we created BLIMS. This is online system. Where different farmers can join and get information on agroecology and NELN 11 pillars, and also to share their knowledge, to know maybe somebody wants to make network with other farmers in different regions. So this is really good possibility for them to see this system also. Also, I mentioned before that the role of women in food crisis is really crucial, and women, rural women are caring for the agroecology, especially Elkana member farmer women, which are caring for the nature, for the water, for the land. And also, because of this, we have created informal certification system, which is Elkana's agroecology label, which means that farmers who produce and who are Elkana's member, they can get this label. They go through organic certification. They are checked several times during the year, and at the end of the year, they get this agroecology label, and they can you can see maybe on the picture it is not given. Label is not seen, but this is a sample how we label the products they are producing, and this is like supporting the supports them, and also to help them to access market and population in the city to know what they produce, where they come from, and etc. And food sovereignty and the role of women is somehow related to this. Also, food sovereignty is a right to healthy and nutritious, ecologically sound and sustainable method. Elkana member farmers protects also traditions inherited in the old generations. What does it mean? We support farmers who are producing in organically methods, in the also to reintroduce the traditions what we have, the seeds what our ancestors had, and we also support smallholder women farmers through different grant systems. And from the very beginning, like when they are starting their business, if they want to organize some orchard, some farm, we are supporting them, giving seeds, giving consultations, have some financial support to buy something for their farms. And some results show us that women are central in food production, and FAO research also showed us that they take much more responsibility to feed their families and the world and take better care of the earth. Cultivating healthy and fresh food with local methods and food production and local varieties of species and breeds, and they are also better care for nature, agrobiodiversity, soil, water, and we also support them like in capacity building to have some better education, not only in direction of organic production on agroecology, but generally what rights are what are the rights they have. Also women inclusion in ensures the quality of activities. That means that they are the better actors in the society. They are more oriented on issues and details, best actors in crisis, and reliable producers. Produce different varieties, diversified production. We had a small research in the region in this case, and we just tried to find out what they were producing, how they were producing, if they had a lead in their farm, in their family. And it was really interesting because these results differentiated from region to region, and most of the women informally they were the leaders in the family, and they had they were deciding what they had to do in the future regarding seed planting, what to plant, and what in what volume. And also on economic stability and growth, they were more oriented than men.
Wow.
Thank you so much. This was a small, not small, but basic information what I wanted to share with you regarding the experiences, what we had regarding women and agroecology in Georgia. In case of questions, I am happy to answer them.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very, very much, Marika. This is quite informative, and we are really, really appreciating. There's so much that you have shared that I'm sure sisters are grasping, and they'll ask you the questions as we proceed, but only just in 5 minutes, because you had 15 minutes and which you have already really taken. So in 5 minutes, if you can quickly just tell us how the connection between feminism, agroecology, and food sovereignty. If you can just tell us like in one word and what the connection you think, and then also if you can touch on something about feminist economy. How can feminist economy help us as grassroots women in supporting food sovereignty? And this, you can share the tools of resistance. I know you have mentioned some of these. You've talked about bread festivals. You've talked about training and consultation. You've talked about acknowledging and upholding indigenous knowledge. But if you can just quickly touch on feminist economy and share a tool of resistance or approach, then we'll really appreciate in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Yes, I have already mentioned that women are key in all activities we do in Georgia, and mainly in the regions. We are mostly minor leads, and because of the stereotypes, they cannot be open, they cannot speak, they cannot make decisions. That's why we just help them to solve the ways informally to be part of the production, and because researches showed us that women are central to try to fight against using pesticides and others, to care for the agrobiodiversity, and in case of seed production also women we are the savers and savers and helpers, and also informally they were helping each other to make distribution organically or agroecologically produced seeds among themselves. So I think to help women not only with the knowledge we have, but to include them in the legislation, to support them in different ways will be productive for the state, because economic rights, what they have, are really crucial, not only for men but for the women, who are the better carers.
Wow. Thank you so much. I'm sure sisters are really happy from the messages that we are seeing on the chat. Please bring those love, let the love come in, because we are here to learn. And we are so happy that you have shared. Now we've heard from Europe, and we've heard from America. She's really shared so much, and we can put the notes, and we can also write on the chat in case we will not have enough time to discuss, but we can always put them all on the chat, and we'll look at them. Now we'd like to also hear from this other side of the world. We want to hear from Asia, and we want to see whether our struggles are really the same, like we are saying that we are women in a collective struggle for food sovereignty. So we want to invite Shelu from India. Shelu from India is also going to share the same, the attack on seeds. The video has clearly opened our eyes, and from your presentation, from the presentation by America, we've also seen how all this is challenging. So we want to hear whether the challenges are the same or different from Asia. So Shelu, please welcome and take the podium and share with us. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Shelu, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Shelu. I represent an organization called Women's Collective, which is in the southernmost part of India. I don't have a slideshow to present, but I will be very brief in sharing our little experience, and I would love to take questions to answer. So basically, from what I heard from others and what I have seen the film, the experience is similar. The whole corporatization of seeds and industrialization, monoculture, alienation of land, all those things are the things which are affecting the food production in our part of the world also. In fact, the undernourished in Asia is almost 55% of the global number. And the undernourished in India is almost 25% of the global number. So that is the situation. So food crisis is a major issue. Number one, the government, let me talk about India. As per constitution, the food right to food is a basic right. So the government has the responsibility to make sure that every citizen gets enough food. So the government, what it has is a public distribution system through which they try to provide food. But are we able to get quality food, healthy food, nutritious food, safe food? That is the question we have. So with this background, when Women's Collective started working with the women in Tamil Nadu, our focus was on trying to get nutritious food security at the household level. The situation in this part of the world is that the women's access to land is very, very limited. As far as India is concerned, only 13% of women have access to land. And as far as Tamil Nadu, the state in which we are based, only 10% of the women have land. But even that extent of land is very limited. It ranges from 50 cents to maximum 1.5 acres. So most of the women with whom we are working are subsistence farmers. They produce for their own use. So the women with whom we are working, we are focusing on reviving traditional farming methods, reviving traditional seeds, doing away with the chemical fertilizers, moving away from GMOs, and trying to go back to traditional recipes all traditional methods that our forefathers were practicing. So in this whole thing, what we have come across is that the women together have formed small collectives, whether they are single women, diverse women, widows, or women who are able to take decision on their own and are able to have a control over the land that they have, that they can decide about what to cultivate and what to consume. So we focus on multiple cropping system. Basically what you are trying to say is agroecology. So we produce grains, oil seeds, pulses, greens, vegetables, ranging from variety of produce, ranging from 20 to the maximum of 50 different crops. So because of this climate change, unusual monsoon rains or droughts, we don't want to lose all our crops. So some crops we may lose some, but majority of the crops we will get. At least the food is ensured at the family level. So this is what we are trying to do. Over the years, we have strengthened ourselves at the village level and then moved on to the district level and state level. So we have more than 35 to 40,000 families as members in our organization who produce food mainly for their own family. When there is excess, they share for a different types of produce which they don't have. So they exchange food produce within the village, and if there is more, they may have their own traditional markets where they exchange for other produce. We have also decentralized seed saving. We don't have seed. What we have, we don't have seed. What is it called? Seed centralized seed protection centers. But what we have is decentralized seed savers. So almost everyone saves, which ranges from 20 to 40 different kinds of seeds. We also encourage women in the urban areas to go in for kitchen gardening and roof gardening to produce vegetables and greens so that they can also have nutritious food. Because the children in India, particularly in Tamil Nadu, nearly 43% of the children are malnourished. And so because of that, we concentrate more on nutritious production. And there is nearly 48% of the children are stunted because of the nutrition deficiency. 18%, almost 20% of the children are pasted. So we concentrate on this. That's why we make sure that there is all different protein supply is ensured, because the protein intake as per the research is only 20% of the requirement. So we concentrate on that. We educate women on that, and we make sure that our families have nutritious food. So every year in different seasons, we have what is called seed festivals, where women bring their seeds together and exchange for new traditional seeds with the other women when they have excess. And we also have food melas, so that the women who come from different villages gather together in one place and teach others in traditional recipes, so that women know how to prepare this traditional food. In the whole process of this, what we have tried to do is, in the rural area, we are trying to build on this alternative economical system where women don't depend on cash transaction and they depend on the farm produce transaction. So no cash is involved in this, in food exchange, in food produce exchange, and their nutrition is also ensured. This is a process in which we are trying to work. The other thing what we are doing is, as I told you earlier, land is a major issue. We organize women as collective to lease out land and involved in the same kind of production. So continuous trainings are given to these new farmers, new generation of farmers who are taking up, who are from urban areas, who lease out land and who are trying to produce food. So everything is centered around nutritious food production, whether it is, and also having access to and control over land, seed, and addressing the climate situation by trying to produce climate resilient crops. So we give training to women to shift from paddy production to millet cultivation. Millet, yeah, I think everybody understands what millet is. Millet is our traditional food. Some 50, 60 years ago, we were producing only millet and we were consuming millet. Only the delta areas, that is where rain-fed areas, were producing paddy. Because of the public distribution system in India, the government supported large farmers with large irrigation projects and financial support with chemical fertilizers, pesticides, hybrid seeds in production of rice and wheat, which is purchased from these large farmers and stored in government storage, which is called the FCI, Food Corporation of India godowns, and then transported to across the country to be distributed to poor people. But this actually, it reached people after 6 months, 7 months. It traveled more than 500 kilometers, losing all its nutrition, and the food waste is also very high. And that is why, as an alternative, the women have come up with this localized production, localized sharing, and localized consumption to benefit from the maximum nutrition out of the produce, and also shifting from paddy cultivation to millet cultivation, which is actually climate resilient and nutritious than the paddy cultivation. So the other thing what we are trying to do is, we have organized these women at the state level. The other thing what we are trying to do is, now we have also linked up with state level Organic Farmers Association as a member, where there are different categories, different subcommittees. One committee looking into marketing, one committee looking into research. There is another committee which is looking into government policies, another committee which is looking into advocacy. So we are also part of this network, which is formed at the state level, which facilitates these women to raise the issue, actually to take up these issues at the state level. So there is a larger network to advocate the policy change at the state level. So one of the recent issue that we have raised with this network is inclusion of millet in midday meals for children, particularly for government school children, so that their health is improved. So this is the way that we are trying to function. I'll stop with this. If people have questions, I can answer. Thank you very much for listening to me. I hope the interpreters did not have any problem in understanding my pronunciation.
No, well, thank you. Thank you so much, Shelu. I'm certain that the interpreters did not have a problem because you spoke very swiftly, and that is what we are encouraging, especially when we are doing translation. And thank you so much for sharing experiences from India. Sorry, I hear my voice from someone's computer. Please mute. Thank you. So that was very nice. Thank you very, very much, Shelu, because we have seen a lot of similarities between what the sisters in Georgia and India are going through. You know, the small women coming as a collective, women doing things together and sharing produced food within the villages, decentralizing seeds and all this. I think these are the feminist alternatives that we are all seeking, and we really appreciate that. And I think the sisters from Africa, you can hear that there's been a lot of seeds festivals, bread festivals. I think this is we are lacking. So we are here to learn and to pick up on what we can do together also to bring this collective to work for us. And now for our third speaker, I don't know if she's able to join or not. Our third speaker is Suad from Tunisia. But if Suad is not here, we are glad that she's shared her written presentation with Mary. I think Mary, if Suad is not here yet, then maybe you can just take the podium and share with us, because this is a lot of nice sharing. So thank you so much, everyone, for participating. And thank you for all those messages that we are sending. Let's continue share as much as we can, and the questions as well. So thank you. So Mary, you can take over.
Hi, Sophie, I can share it. Suat couldn't make it to be here still, and I'm going to share my screen. Could you able to see the whole screen?
Wow, yes, we are able to see Suad's face on the screen. I almost said, hi, Suad.
Bonjour, Suad.
Appréhender ce sujet. Un sujet qui m'a paru au début facile, mais
I thought this was an easy subject at the start.
Dans des données non spécifiques, que ce soit par rapport à la région, que ce soit par
I quickly found myself swamped with data that was non-specific, both about the region and women.
La crise alimentaire pose
In the MENA region, the food crisis is an increasingly concerning problem. According to figures from the United Nations in 2020, more than 55 million people out of a total population of 456 million are undernourished. The region represents 6% of the world population and 20% of the world population who are experiencing severe food insecurity. The situation is even worse in places where there is war caused by capital, such as in Yemen and Syria. According to the same source, in 2021, 83% of the Yemeni population suffered from food insecurity. And the war in Syria has had devastating consequences. More than 12 million Syrians are living in food insecurity. Half of Syrian refugee households in Lebanon have also been affected by food insecurity, and 700,000 refugees in Jordan need urgent help. In Iraq, food insecurity has got worse because of intermittent conflict and fluctuating oil prices.
4 millions d'Irakiens ont besoin
Today, more than 4 million Iraqis need humanitarian aid. In Lebanon, food insecurity is primarily caused by hyperinflation.
inflation plutôt. Au Maghreb et en Égypte, la
In the
situation
Maghreb, in Egypt, the number of people who are experiencing food insecurity remains stable,
l'Ukraine,
has
la
remained
situation
stable, but since the Ukrainian war, food insecurity appears to be worsening.
Moyen-Orient et l'Afrique du Nord ont une
The Middle East and North Africa have some of the most unequal distributions in terms of farm size in the world. In some countries in the region, such as Egypt, Yemen, Jordan, Lebanon, and Tunisia, the surface area of most farms is less than 1 hectare. On the other end of the spectrum, we have a relatively small number of large farms belonging to a small number of landowners or to the state.
Marie, I think that because that was a recorded message, there's no way you can shut her Suad's face off, because that's how it was recorded. So I think if you put off her video, then everything will go off. So I think we just have to.
I can share the Suad's notes here.
I will close my
Interpreters already have it.
I will close my interpretation, then you can hear the original voice, and from the original voice you can translate it. I will open it one more time. Sorry for the disturbance.
Here it is. Yeah. You can download these notes. I share in chat.
et ce sujet. Un sujet qui m'a paru au début facile, mais en commençant à le mettre sur le papier, je me suis noyée dans des données non spécifiques, que ce soit par rapport à la région, que ce soit par rapport aux femmes. Mais partons par des données générales dans la région. Dans la région MENA, la crise alimentaire pose un problème de plus en plus préoccupant. Selon des chiffres des Nations Unies en 2020, 55 millions de personnes parmi une population de 456,7 millions qui souffrent d'une crise sous-alimentaire. La région représente 6% de la population mondiale et 20% de la population mondiale en situation de grave insécurité alimentaire. La situation est encore pire dans les régions où sévissent les conflits provoqués par le capital. Au Yémen, en Syrie, selon les sources, en 2021, 83% de la population yéménite souffre d'insécurité alimentaire. La guerre en Syrie a eu des conséquences dévastatrices. Plus de 12 millions de Syriens vivent dans l'insécurité alimentaire et la moitié des ménages réfugiés au Liban touchés eux aussi par l'insécurité alimentaire. Et 700 000 réfugiés en Jordanie ont besoin d'une aide immédiate. En Irak aussi, l'insécurité alimentaire s'est aggravée du fait de conflits intermittents et des fluctuations des cours du pétrole. Aujourd'hui, 4 millions d'Irakiens ont besoin d'une aide alimentaire. Au Liban, l'insécurité alimentaire résulte principalement de l'inflation et de l'hyperinflation plutôt. Au Maghreb et en Égypte, la situation paraît plus ou moins stable, mais depuis la guerre de l'Ukraine, la situation porte à croire que l'insécurité alimentaire va augmenter. Le Moyen-Orient et l'Afrique du Nord ont une distribution de taille d'exploitation la plus inégale au monde. Dans certains pays de la région comme l'Égypte, le Yémen, la Jordanie, le Liban, la Tunisie, la superficie de la majeure exploitation est inférieure à 1 hectare. À l'autre extrémité du spectre se trouve un nombre relativement réduit de grandes exploitations appartenant à un petit nombre de propriétaires.
Does it work now?
Non, on n'entend plus rien.
Hello, Marie, did we lose the video again?
I couldn't understand. Does it work now? Could you able to hear the SWAT's voice?
Yes.
Okay.
So it
is over.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow, that was nice because I was looking at the time and that was quite short and precise. And sisters, we've heard from these 3 regions. And to be honest, our struggles are very collective and they're very connecting us. And also, as a sister from Africa, it would be nice that I also share just a little bit so we can open the debate and we can hear from other sisters as well. Somebody says that there's no sound, so I don't know if you can check on that. Yeah, so the explanation, how can we all just look at what is going on and explain the food crisis from a feminist perspective? I think hunger is a feminist issue because it is built by patriarchy and poverty, especially the fact that poverty is always given the feminine face. Poverty has a face of a woman. For example, here in Africa, if somebody visits a woman's a household, and they don't get anything to eat, they'll always mention the woman and say, so-and-so's house, we never got anything, because it's an African culture to produce and to give. But hunger affects more women than men around the world. We have heard from the sisters from Georgia and from India, from Tunisia, and it is very clear that women have to really strategize more to come up with solutions on how to feed themselves. So women may be in charge of managing the household food supply, but patriarchal norms mean that men usually have the final say when it comes to the distribution of food. Like, I want to agree with shared on issue of land. In Africa, I say Africa because I come from Kenya, and this is something that connects a lot of African sisters. So in Africa, women work the most and have no say. And they have many years that for very many years, they could not acquire land. And where they did, it was almost impossible to acquire resources like loans to prepare the land for tilling. And when they did, the food was ready for harvest and consumption. The men would go fast. They would always eat fast, followed by the children, and women, leaving women hungry. And this is the reality of where we are at as feminists, as women, as grassroots women struggling to feed. And where the woman kept something small for themselves, they would share it amongst the children, especially when the food is not enough, leaving the woman with nothing, yet the woman works so hard. So we have a call as grassroots women working on food issues. Our last call for a food system revolution is by embracing the principles that we have as feminists and learning from each other. We have heard from our sisters how they mobilize and strategize around learning from each other. So we have to build on feminist economy, and this can only happen through agroecology, because then now we understand exactly what this means, because it's going to enable the improvement of agricultural production through the enhancement of local natural resources and the indigenous knowledge that we keep on talking about. I like giving examples to help us really understand when we talk about the indigenous knowledge. A good example is when, for example, I like giving this example because it is so real. Our great-grandmothers would plant different seeds, and they would have granaries where they had seeds, and they kept a lot of seeds. And this never made a lot of sense for us as growing children. So with these types of seeds, they would look at the color of the ants that would come from the soil every time the weather was changing. Because when the weather is changing, and that's the world over, even in Europe, even in Americas, where we have summer and winter, when you're keen to look at the ground, you will see the different color of insects and ants coming out, because then they can tell. And so from that, our grandmothers will tell what kind of rain, or the amount of rains or amount of waters that will come from that. And they'll be able to go back to that granary and plant the seeds that they knew. And this is agroecology. You know, it was not science. It was not rocket science that just came from somewhere, but it was indigenous knowledge that we are also thinking and saying that it is high time we shared our indigenous knowledge and brought it in our feminist spaces and learned from each other, because without these learning experiences, then we'll never realize what we are all looking for. We are seeing a lot of transnational corporations coming in our spaces with a lot of chemicals, with a lot of genetically modified seeds, and all these are damaging our soils. So as feminists, we have a call, and we must continue building together, because we are in a collective struggle for food sovereignty. Now, with all that has been shared, I want to open up for sisters to also share, because I know this is a topic that touches each one of us in a very special way. And we had requested that those who had questions could also put them up on the chat. And so far, I think we have one question from Graciela, who says, why can't we just bet on native seeds and exchange between producers? Why do we want to depend on companies? I think because our speakers also talked a lot about transnational corporations and companies. And then she says that probably she misunderstood something and would like that to be elaborated. So our speakers will also look at that, as when we're going to give you the parting shot, we can mention that. But now we open up the floor for sisters to also share from the different regions. So welcome, sisters. We can raise our hands up, and Marie and the technical team can help us to just note whose hands are raised in case we miss it out, because we don't have so much time. We can start now. Anybody with an intervention, an addition, a question, this is our time before we can give back the floor. So yes, thank you very much, Solange. Solange, please, your hand is raised, so you can share.
Okay, merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all of the sisters who have shared their experience. I really enjoyed the presentations about the feminist economy, all of the solidarity and in sharing seeds and other ideas, which strengthen solidarity between women and reinforces our collaboration and helps maintain women's contribution over time. So I really enjoyed that. I would just like to come back to what Sophie said, to say that one of the main problems in Africa is precisely women's access to land. When they have access to land, it tends to be land that is not very profitable, we might say. And often it's land that is lent to them so that they can carry out small agricultural projects. We're reflecting on the question of fertilizer production. Because this is one of the areas where trade is significant. And the production of these inputs, which are really toxic and harmful, is very important. So we're reflecting on how we can obtain local fertilizers and inputs, how we can transform these local inputs. And I'm thinking, for example, about cow dung. When we have cow dung, when we have cows on our farms, their dung, their feces can be transformed to produce quality fertilizer. So I was just thinking about whether in the group any sisters or countries have experience of this transformation. Because I would like to be able to support women farmers in this area by sharing experiences or by organizing a training session. So this would allow them to give greater value or extract greater value from the land that they're given, that they have access to, which does not tend to be very fertile. So thank you to all of the speakers, thank you to the interpreters, thank you to Sophie for moderating the session, and thank you for everyone who has made it possible for us to be here together. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Solange, for your intervention. Now we call upon Isabella Sanzis to share.
Buenos días, compañeras. Isabel de Guatemala.
Good evening, sisters. I'm Isabel from Guatemala. I'd like to make a comment. Thank you all for sharing your experiences with us. I think that as the World March, we are clear on the fact that the problem of food insecurity is mostly related to structural and socioeconomic factors, extreme poverty, monocultures, mining, drug trafficking in the region, in Central America. We have high levels of malnutrition. 49% of children, 3% die because of malnutrition. So these factors, we must continue to condemn these causes and these factors. Mining, extractivism are causing ecocide in our region, desertification, loss of water, and climate change. And in response to this, just like on all the other continents, it's women who are most affected by food insecurity in our region. So through training sessions in feminist economy, we share other ways of producing food. And we talk about how we can revive ancestral traditional practices in a natural way and take advantage of the resources that we have from our land. And also how we can transform our methods of production and our food customs and question this capitalistic consumption that we engage in and change it for a different way of feeding ourselves. We also had the opportunity to exchange seeds and medicinal plants to help us overcome the pandemic. So we do think it's very important to continue to make this effort to produce food in home gardens and to recover seeds and exchange seeds between women. So I think we need to motivate ourselves to continue caring for the network of life by transforming our production practices and our eating and consumption practices. And we must never cease to condemn the transnational companies and capitalist system, the neoliberal system, the free market, which keeps us in these conditions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Isabella. Now we can hear from Kautar.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, Kautar, we can hear you.
Hi, Sophie and everyone. Hello, so happy to be with you today. I'm sorry I can't put on my camera. I'm not in my house, so I'm using the data and saving some internet. So it's a very serious matter and very, very important topic today, and I think it must be discussed in relation with other topics. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Sisters, please mute your mics. Kindly mute your mics.
Yes, so I said that in my opinion, this topic must be discussed with other topics like climate change and feminist economy, all of this together. It can't be like discussed alone because it's all related to each other and has impact on each other. But as everyone said today, and we come to I suppose come to the conclusion that food issues become more and more politicized today, and understanding the process of social change in terms of growing politicization of food relations is more than necessary. As Solange said, we need maybe political formations, we need trainings to understand better this issue. And we need to think collectively as social movements, as organizations, feminist organizations, not only the United Nations need to think for us. We don't need their data and their statistics as much as we need collectively to promote a conceptual framework that can help us to understand the complexity of the situation. We must think, I think, how we move toward a fair and ecological food system. The varied organizations today on the scene, on the international level and civil society have been engaged, each of them focusing on a specific axis of injustice. And sometimes we meet in the middle somewhere, and this is what we call the intersection, our intersectional thinking and building alliances and solidarities to try to find solutions and plan and strategize for food sovereignty. For example, peasant movement, they're fighting class inequalities such as access to land, production policies, agroecological food production, etc. Feminist movement have taken up the issue of food sovereignty, responding to gender inequalities, etc. Food justice movement have denounced white privilege in food movements and institutional racism in the food system, such as the lack of access to nutrition food in non-white and poor communities. And so, and this is how we allies to each other and how we network with each other, and I think we must focus more on this in the future, taking the advantage of the result of the work of each of these movements as a specialist in the field. And this is the only way, in my opinion, to find a solution for the current very bad crisis we are going through, and that the war in Ukraine has worsened and contributed to food and fertilizer shortage in our continent, especially in Africa. So this is what I wanted to say, and thank you very much for this debate. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Kauta from South Africa, that you really shared. And we appreciate that. Yeah, so we want to call upon our last intervention from Bushra because of time, and then let's hear from Bushra.
Bushra, tu turno.
Yes, thank you very much, sisters.
Gracias a todas.
We have been discussing very important, which relates to our daily life.
Hemos estado discutiendo aquí un tema muy...
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we can in the English button we can hear Spanish. If you can check this. Okay, thank you. So sorry, Bushra, you can continue.
I was just trying to show less than 2% women actually own the land, and on the other side, this the social and political systems are under control of the very rich elites, the feudals, patriarchy as a system. Has been systematically excluded from the agriculture sector. National corporations capturing the land, the resources, and the multiple productions basically have immense impact on the small and landless the farmers, and as well as where the women are highly engaged with the agriculture sector, agriculture activities. So we are highly concerned and about the shortage of the very important grains like wheat, where the land was very fertile and we have plenty of wheat and rice and vegetables. But now the situation has been turn around, and now we as
Did we lose Bushra? I think we lost Bushra, and we wanted her to be like the last person intervening. But Asma, can you hear? Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, I can hear you. I think maybe there is one network error, so that's why Bushra ma'am is dropped.
Okay. All right, I think because we
I
wanted
think she
Busha
would
to
be
be,
back very soon. Yeah, she would be back very soon, so we can wait
we can
maybe 30
invite,
seconds.
we can
Yeah, or we'll,
invite Ruba. Let's invite Ruba
yeah,
because
yeah,
we are
yeah,
already 2 hours
Sure.
into this, and our interpreters are really getting, yeah. So let's get Ruba.
I'm so sorry, Sophie. Before Ruba, Hadia Riyadi was raised her hand. I just wrote to the chat. I'm so sorry.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think that's okay. All right.
Sorry, Pina. So there's somebody before me? Ah, okay.
Bonjour, merci beaucoup.
Yes, Ruba, there's someone before you.
Merci beaucoup, chers sœurs. Merci.
Thank you very much, dear sisters. Thank you for all the different speeches and presentations that were very interesting. Thank you, Sophie, for moderating, and thank you to our interpreters as well. So I'd like to discuss certain things in relation to food sovereignty that concern us here in Morocco, and an important thing is water. Currently, the water crisis is causing a great hindrance to food sovereignty here. I'm talking about my experience in the area in the south of Morocco. That's a well-known region for farming. It's well known for its excellent farming, but it has been invaded by multinational corporations which have appropriated and accumulated land, and in doing so have impoverished the peoples of the region and have caused migration towards the cities from the rural areas. So in these regions, they've been almost deserted. So it's almost total exports going on now. And all the products produced there are exported to Europe at the moment. Some products are exported to Africa, but mainly Europe. So the lands there have become completely dry. They've dried out completely. And this is incredibly dangerous for our environment and the viability and livelihoods in the whole region. So the multinational corporations have taken over the regions, and in doing so, they've almost dried out the whole region, but they've drained it of all the water that is so essential to life and community in the region. So this is a state policy because these multinational corporations have been encouraged by the state, and there's been policies put in place to encourage multinational companies to buy up land. So the state is supporting these multinational corporations. The consequences have been devastating. And there are organizations, including the World March of Women and the women's farming sector, who have been working with women in the region, but there are also other initiatives which are being undertaken by women, particularly women's cooperatives that are trying to stand up and resist these difficulties that have emerged from this state policy regarding farming and agriculture in the region. And this trend towards implementing an agriculture that responds to the needs of imports and the needs of Moroccan people. So that's one of the most interesting things in the region is the agriculture of argon, which is a local agriculture, and this agriculture has also been targeted by multinational corporations, including cosmetic industries and companies. So there are some women's cooperatives that are trying to stand up to this intense commercialization of these products and the seeds that are very expensive, in fact. And even within these cooperatives, the women are having to stand up to companies that are trying to exploit these women's cooperatives for their own commercial purposes. So these are the local experiences that we're seeing, and we're seeing all the challenges that are reflected as well in other countries and regions, but this is one of the experiences that could be studied and could even be improved and could serve as a model for other regions. So that is what I wanted to say about the issue of water and the issue of women's cooperatives as an alternative to support the women's actions in this field. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Abia. This is very critical, and it's very good also that you come with alternatives as we speak together today. So if Ruba is still here, Ruba, we can give you like 3 minutes. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, sisters. Thank you for all sisters for this wonderful webinar, and for all the speakers and facilitators. Allow me to address the reality of the Palestinian being of the special case, being the only country in the world still under occupation, and it has no control over its resources. Sovereignty over food is a liberal concept that's aimed to liberate the agricultural sectors from the shackles of colonialism, and to work collectively from the liberations of the land and the people. Within the Palestinian context, the situation has its own specifically. Sovereignty over food is a liberating concept that contributes to funding the necessary grant from the transforming dealing with the agricultural sectors from a weak sectors attached to the colonialism system to a sector of contributes stability to the liberation of the people and the land. The concept of the food sovereignty in the international context is linked to anti-capitalism's and globalization movement. The concept of this is alternative that combines, and countries have worked to promote and adapt the system from the analysis of the exciting international situation, including the movement of the capital and invest the production sectors, food to the present and alternative concept based on the liberation, food from the capital speculations and the large invest. When we're talking about the Palestinian situation or over the food in the Palestinian based on the following principles, emphasizing the food sovereignty is a right of the people in order to determine their own policies, and in the field of foods and agriculture, promoting the regular production, emphasizing the right of the Palestinian people to obtain access to their natural resource and work to sustain them, and to not to waive this right under any criticism. The Israeli occupation is the main impediment and threaten obstruction and prevents the achievement of sovereignty over Palestinian food and national resource. respect the heritage, culture, and choice of farmers, and support and encourage traditional agriculture free of pesticides, chemical fertilizing, and genetic engineering. The land is for those who activate taking all lands and natural resource out of the circle of the specifications and unsustainable exploitations. The main depends on agricultural production should be on small and medium farmers and agricultural cooperative in order to ensure the sustainability of the Palestinian food production pattern. Traditional agricultural practice is a rich legacy, communicate a result of the succeeding work and generation in agriculture and farmer. This legacy is a rich part of our national heritage and our communal knowledge. It must be preserved and built upon, not dealt with according to the rules of the neglects. As you what we are looking to focusing, as a Palestinian occupation, there is no control, and we are not, and we didn't have, we have a lot of resource as the land, but it's not under the control for the Palestinian people. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Ruba, for sharing. And we are all saying that Palestine must be free. So thank you so much for sharing also the Palestinian struggles on issues of food sovereignty. And we really, really appreciate this. And I want to reiterate what my sister Kautar shared. And she said that food issue has become very more politicized today than before. And unless we turn around and take all this that we have shared today, political trainings, bringing our strategies together, then transnational corporations that only care more about profits and more profits will take the center stage. So the political struggle that food sovereignty champions and feminist movements around the world are responding to right now are very complicated. But there is a very urgent need. So this gives us a leeway for this very urgent need to enforce a strong feminist approach to mitigate the risk of building a patriarchal agroecology. We could be building agroecology as our alternative, but we must be very, very critical and deliberate on building a feminist agroecology. Otherwise, when we have a patriarchal agroecology, we will remain where we are, or even worse. So we want to say that we must build feminism and agroecology so that we can have the answer as a feminist agroecology. So that one we must start working together to ensure that we build this. And also looking at the feminist economy, we must also talk about social peace, social justice, gender justice, and solidarity economies, because these are very essential preconditions for realizing food sovereignty. Feminist economy does not uphold discrimination of any form, be it color, sex, race, caste, or even gender. It only denounces patriarchy in all its forms and the system that derail women from moving forward. So we want to thank you each and everyone very much. I want to thank our speakers today, but we're going to give you like a minute or so to just share quickly one word that you're leaving us with, if the interpreters allow us. And also would like to really thank the international secretariats. The IS has done a great job. And we are also thanking the team, the Food Sovereignty Working Group of the World March of Women. This is amazing because this is like the think tank, and it is helping us a lot to demystify this and to trickle down information. So we want to appreciate you. So if Shelu is still there, Shelu will invite you to give us like one parting shot, just a line. And then we'll also invite Marika from Georgia to give us one parting shot, and we can invite the team to just say hi, and the International Secretariat, we really want to appreciate you. So Shelu.
Yeah. And I think the closing comment that I would like to share is that this platform that is created to share our experience from different parts of the globe has re-emphasized the need to work together as women who are facing this challenge and who are trying to address this challenge together unitedly. So I think it will be very inspirational for us to share, to hear from others' experience, and it will also, we will also feel enthusiastic about what we are doing, and we'll carry on our work. So I'm really thankful for the organizers giving me the space to share the little experience what we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelu. Thank you very much. That was powerful. So Marika, you're still there. Kindly give us a parting shot.
Yes, the message is what we are coming from this webinar. We are inspiring, and that means that we are doing right way, and we have to follow our way and fight together for our rights, especially women's, so we can do together everything. This is just messages.
Wow, absolutely awesome. Long live international solidarity. So at this point, just allow me to bring in Yildiz or anyone from the International Secretariat to say hello, because this was amazing and we need many more platforms to continue sharing. So if Yildiz is in, kindly just share what, sister.
Buyurunuz.
Thank you for participating in this webinar. This is the last international webinar before our international meeting. So the our aim was to deepen our understanding about the global multiple crises that affect our daily life. So it is a beginning on a series of discussions going to feminist alternatives against multiple crises. That is a feminist economy. In fact, care crisis, housing crisis, and food crisis is very much interlinked with each other. And also we have proposals under the discussion of feminist economy. So this is a highlight when we're going to our international meeting in October. From 6th to 12th October, there will be a 13th international meeting, which marks 25th anniversary of the World March of Women. World March of Women is an anti-capitalist, internationalist, feminist movement. And so thank you very much for this. Claudine, can you mute Claudine? And so we have very good participation from each region around the world, from Latin America, South Asia, Middle East, North Africa, and Africa, and Eastern Europe. Thank you very much for participating to the last webinar of last international webinar of crisis series, and see you again, hope, in other webinars and discussions, and also our international meetings and action. Thank you very much again.
Wow, thank you so much, Yildiz. That's amazing. Now we know the dates. Let's start organizing and planning to be at the international meeting. And then we also want to really appreciate the interpreters. They've been talking for more than 2 hours. Absolutely more love. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here, for participating. We love you all. And the technical team, amazing. You've been very supportive, very helpful. And I love what the World March of Women slogan. Sometimes you say, you know, there's no revolution without interpretation. So we want to appreciate the interpreters. We want to appreciate the technical team, and we want to appreciate each and every one of you for being part of this webinar. So thank you so much. Let's keep the conversations going, and let's continue organizing, and more organizing at the grassroots level. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for your moderation, Sophie.
Compañeras, invitamos a todas a compartilhar el video.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sisters, we invite you all to share the video.
Capire mosa mamma, capire, inspira la mosa mamma, capire mosa mamma, capire, organize mosa mamma.